Hey there, Patty Dominguez here with episode 85 of the Positioning to Profit podcast. I almost said podcast. Okay, podcast. And on today's episode, it is a solo show, and I am going to be challenging some thinking. And on this solo show, it's going to prompt you to consider, are you too available? Are you too available? Are you too much out there in a way that is not creating enough intrigue? Because if you're too available, this may be the reason why more people are not reaching out for your coaching. Maybe this is something that you agree with, or maybe it's not. And I'll kind of give you the backstory there of why I believe that it's not a good thing to be too available. And at the same time, I want to also invite you to check out a Clubhouse collaboration that I have cooking. It is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. I have paired up with my friend, Dr. Christine Kazmar, and she and I are doing a weekly series where it's called OG Lessons. And OG Lessons is really cool because we are both such practitioners of personal development. I forgot who was the one that said, we are forever changed for the people we meet and the books that we read. And so we thought it'd be really cool to bring together a compilation of different philosophies, things, and prompting people to engage. And what better way to do that than on Clubhouse? So if you're interested, follow me over on Clubhouse. And again, this is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So super excited for that. We did a show already, and it's just so cool to see people engage and open up and share their perspectives, their stories. It really, to me, is such a great testament to the power of Clubhouse, where people who don't even know each other from different walks of life are coming together and sharing their perspectives and insights. And in that process, we all learn together. It's really cool. So, and I really think that now more than ever, just people are dying to connect. So that is what's happening on Clubhouse every Wednesday. And then specific to this episode, I am challenging the thinking that you should not be too available. And I'm going to be sharing exactly what I mean by that and something for you to consider, right? Maybe you can say, I don't agree with you whatsoever, Patty. Or you can take a look and say, this is an interesting perspective. Let me try that out. I'm always about testing and tweaking, and this is no different. So I'll be incorporating a little bit more of that, and I will be explaining exactly how I'm going to do that right after the intro. All right, here we go. Hey there, I'm Patty Dominguez. You're about to discover what it means to position your brand and your business to stand out. This show explores the stories of small business owners just like you who are bringing their message out to the world and impacting their tribe. So if you want to take your business to a category of one status, then hang with me, because this podcast shares everything you need to know about how to be more prolific with your brand so that you can have more profits. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And one of the things that I find extremely compelling is when there is a marketing expert who is just a ninja, right? Really known in his or her space. Somebody that I don't necessarily know all too well. So we all know that in the marketing space, or in the online marketing space, that is, there's a lot of these people that just stand out, right? You'll always see them in your news feed. They're always on Instagram. They're always showing their pictures and awards, or they'll be standing in front of their Lamborghini or in front of the yacht. And so they really, really put themselves out there. One of the things that I think is interesting is that availability, right? Too available, too out there, may not necessarily be the approach to take. Okay. So you, at the same time, yes, they're setting themselves apart. They're building that authority there. But I really would challenge the thinking that now more than ever, it's really important to make yourself as inaccessible to anyone who is not paying you. So if they're not a paying client, right, you should be valuing your time in order to stand out even more, in order to create a little bit of mystery. And let me explain. So even though in the introduction, I just talked about how I'm doing Clubhouse. Now, I have seen some Clubhouses where people are on a Clubhouse, I'm not kidding, 10, 12 hours a day, which I think is astronomical. Like, what are you doing all day that you can be on Clubhouse the entire time, right? unbelievable. But what's really interesting is that lately I've joined a couple of groups and paying groups, because one of the mentors that I work with, he's not necessarily well known, and I actually really like that because he's really authentic in the approaches that he takes in the marketing that he teaches. So I really, really enjoy his stuff. So he happened to have a webinar and he introduced someone that he works with. So he pays this other guy, he pays him every month like 5 figures to be part of his inner circle. And I was really intrigued. I was like, wow, I've never heard of this guy before, right? Why haven't I heard of you? And so when I posted in the comment, I'm like, this is so crazy that you're this level of ninja, that you do all this in the marketplace and I've never heard of you. And then he's like, yeah, and I like to keep it that way. So somebody had asked him in the thread also, they had said, hey, can I hire you for an hour? And he said, no. So what is happening is that he has created such demand and intrigue for what he puts out. So he doesn't advertise, right? He's not necessarily well known, but yet the inner circle that he has is a substantial investment, and he has a wait list. So I thought that was really interesting. I was like, wow. So by the very nature of him being as inaccessible as possible, and what I mean by that, he's inaccessible to people who are just prospects, right? He's very accessible to his clients, but he's not accessible to people who are not paying clients, which I thought was really interesting. So his positioning is being kind of that person who is a best kept secret. And at the same time, I had an exchange with somebody that I connected over on Facebook, and she's like, hey, I saw that you were in some kind of like a webinar or something that my mentor had included me on, and I had no idea. So I was like, oh wow, that's kind of cool that I was on there. And I was like, wow, I'm really appreciative. And she's like, yeah, I never would have thought that you would be on there. And I do get people tell me that people don't really see me a whole lot on social media. That's something that I'm correcting, I'm rectifying. I'm putting myself out there, my message a little bit more. I mean, I, for one, enjoy podcasting probably the most of any platform. But what I thought was really interesting is I'm taking more of a media approach. I want to write articles or have some spots as and contributors and see what happens there. So I will be reporting back on that front. So I'm not the type of person who is like on Instagram and doing play-by-plays of everything that's happening. It's just not me, you know. I don't like doing that. And I'm also not necessarily on Facebook. I'm doing play-by-plays of everything that I'm doing. I just don't like that. So I do love podcasting. So that's really the platform that I've picked. I like Clubhouse as well from the audio component of it. But what's really interesting to me, and I noticed with this guy, is that he's like, no, I don't do any of that. He's just the best kept secret. And I think that's an intriguing way to come from this place of like, I don't need to be known. I don't need to do, and as a result of the intrigue that is built around him, he also he charges a very, very high premium. And people pay for it because people want access to this knowledge. And yes, he is legit. He walks his talk. He provides the transformations for his clients, etc. So we kind of had this informal exchange about the whole thing. So I really like that, right? So here's the thing. It's one approach to take where just really think about it. Are you too accessible? I don't know. Are you too accessible? And is this something that you could potentially entertain? Now, I've been doing one-on-one coaching now for a while, and I'm actually thinking I don't want to do any more one-on-one coaching. I'm literally thinking about it. And it's something that I may be testing out because I want to be less accessible. And so that less accessibility creates potentially intrigue. And with the marketing that I'm going to be doing, it's going to create the opportunity for me to engage with the right type of prospect. So back to you. How do you translate into something that you can incorporate into your marketing? I would say don't be too accessible, for sure, because if you're too accessible, that could also commoditize what it is that you do. You definitely want to stand out. And so maybe now more than ever, just add that little bit of intrigue to the marketing that you're doing. Of course, and please keep in mind that this does not mean not being accessible for your clients. Now, customer service or client servicing is so important, and that's not something that I would ever kind of put by the wayside. In fact, I am such a believer of surprising and delighting. It's something that really I'm very focused on, and it brings me joy. But could there be some elements of that inaccessibility that you can incorporate into your own marketing, thus creating intrigue and people, in essence, wanting more of you that way? I thought it was really interesting. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Let me know what you think. Connect with me on social media. And again, I am certainly going to be hanging out on Clubhouse every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So connect with me over there, or you can post your feedback on what you think about this approach that I'm going to be testing out a little bit, and I'll have to report back because, as you know, everything in marketing is testing and verifying, and so I'll let you know how that goes. All right, that's my quick tip for today, or my insights. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to connecting with you real soon. Thank you so much for checking out the Positioning to Profit podcast. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new episodes. And also, it would mean the world to me if you would take a quick moment to leave a rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcast player. It really helps to get the word out about the podcast and, of course, the featured guests. And lastly, please make sure to connect with me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm on all of them. And use hashtag positioning to profit so that I can search you out and connect that way too. All right. Thanks so much. See you next time.